Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me, whether you are two-legged or four, whether you're furred, scaled, feathered, haired, just skinned, it doesn't matter. Thank you for joining me in celebration and gratitude on this Rosh Hashanah LeBehemot. Now, you may have thought there was only one Rosh Hashanah, the human one, or you might not know about any at all, and that's totally fine. The human Lunar New Year that kicks off our days of awe every year comes on the 1st of Tishrei, which is the next month. Today is the first of the month of Elul. And the month of Elul is typically our introspective kickoff to the high holiday season, where we do a lot of soul searching and ask forgiveness of our fellow man. But we're going to put that aside for one more day, for a very special ancient holiday. Now, Rosh Hashanah LeBehemot is the new year for the animals, domesticated animal species. So whether or not you know your animal family member's birth date, it doesn't matter. You can claim today. This is their special day. So until recently, the Jews were a pastoral people and involved in agriculture. The first day of Elul was the day when all the flocks and herds and any animal that had anything to do with human domestication or human work was counted for tithing. Now, they couldn't do it any later than this because of the human high holidays, and also because mating begins, and so then there may be uncounted animals. And they couldn't do it any earlier than this because potentially not all of the babies were born yet. So today was the day all the critters would be gathered into a pen, a lot like the one I'm sitting in, and passed through a chute one at a time. And every 10th animal would be marked with red paint and set aside for tithing. Now, between you and me, as a shepherd, I wonder how many shepherds would see their favorite ewe or their favorite heifer coming and kind of push her back a little in favor of a cull passing through as number 10. It's hard to be a shepherd. Okay, so if you're Jewish, you've heard Unetanach Tokef every year during Yom Kippur. But I want to read an excerpt. All creatures shall pass before you as a herd of sheep. As a shepherd herds his flock, directing his sheep to pass under his staff, so too you shall pass, count, and record the souls of all living, and decree a limit to each person's days, and inscribe their final judgment. Now, most people today aren't involved in agriculture. They don't count sheep, except maybe to fall asleep. So what relevance does Rosh Hashanah LeBehemot have? Well, if you have a pet or a farm, it's pretty obvious. But for the rest of us, are our fates not tied to nature? Climate change and the loss of access to clean water and clean air affects all living creatures. As wildlife species like coyote and deer and raccoons and foxes are forced to adapt to urban living, we have to adjust our expectations of, engagements with, and responsibility for them. Therefore, everyone can use this day as a form of tikkun olam, repairing the world, and following the law of tsa'ar ba'alei chayim, preventing cruelty or suffering to any living creature. So let's begin this service with a prayer by George Appleton. O God, we thank thee for all the creatures thou hast made, so perfect in their kind. Great animals like the elephant and rhinoceros, humorous animals like the camel and the monkey, friendly ones like the dog and the cat, working ones like the horse and the ox, timid ones like the squirrel and the rabbit, majestic ones like the lion and the tiger, for birds with their song. O God, give us such love for thy creation, that love may cast out fear, and all thy creatures and thy creation see in men and women like us their priest and their friend. And together we say, Amen. Now, one of the things that we in Judaism do whenever we reach any kind of milestone is recite the Shehechianu. It's an expression of gratitude, and it's an acknowledgement that this is a special moment. So take a minute to call your critters in, walk out to the barn if you need to, scoop them out of their enclosure, get your hands on, and hold them close. Feel free to pause this video if you need to. Sometimes it's a schlep, I understand. All right, are we all gathered together? Hopefully enjoy. Some of us may want to participate more than others. The word Shehechianu means that we are alive. And that is what we're celebrating. Oh, we have more. Uh-oh. We're celebrating that we are alive. We're celebrating all the nature around us, celebrating the animals that we love. Young and old, big and small. So gather them close, at least where you can put a hand on them, and take a deep breath. And pour all of the love that you feel for them through this physical channel of touch and directly into their hearts. And then say it with me if you know it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, eternal our God, creator of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. And let us say, Amen. Now, this may be bringing to mind thoughts of the miracle of birth, of adoption or rescue, the joys and challenges of new life coming into the world, discovering everything for the first time, growing from little potato puppies and squishy little squeaky kittens, doe-eyed calves and shivering kids, tadpoles, chicks, goslings, long-legged foals, into the magnificent friends with whom we share our lives. You may be thinking of does with their fawns, the one that took up residence in your backyard perhaps, the myriad birds that visit your feeder, the waddling possum in your yard with babes clinging to her fur. Or perhaps your thoughts turn to white muzzles and cloudy eyes, mouths with few teeth, slower walks, and the inevitable loss. All tender thoughts of the impacts that animals have on our lives are valid and should be treasured. Now, later on in our yoga practice, we will dedicate some space to grieve the animals that we have lost, that left an imprint on our heart. But now, let's focus on healing. Healing our world, healing our animals, those in need of special attention, be it mentally, physically. Those animals that are always working hard for us, pushing their bodies to the limit, or pushing their obedience to the limit, like service animals. And let's think of those special humans, the fosters, the veterinarians, vet techs, the farm witches, wildlife rehabbers, prosthetic makers, nutritionists, pharmacists, and all of those engaged in the work of bettering the lives of animals. O source of creation and master healer, our human ties with our friends of other species is a wonderful and special gift from you. They trust in us as we trust in you. As we share our lives, our land, our homes, and ourselves, we are bound together in mutual need and affection. Our fates are interwoven, and so we ask, as Moses did for Miriam, El na refe na la. Please, Sustainer of the universe, heal them now. If you are praying for refuah shlema, complete wholeness of body and spirit for animals in your life, please speak those names aloud. We continue with a prayer by Albert Schweitzer. Hear our humble prayer, O God, for our friends, the animals, especially for animals who are suffering, for any that are hunted or lost or deserted or frightened or hungry, for those that must be put to death. We entreat for them all thy mercy and pity, and for those who deal with them, we ask a heart of compassion, gentle and kindly words. Make us true friends of the animals, and so to share the blessings of the merciful. Grant those who labor to understand the intricacies of each animal form the ability to overcome the weakness of those body systems, the talent to mend them, and the strength to sustain their compassion. Let us all be stewards of health, wholeness, and holiness, and let us say, Amen. This is a liminal space, which is my favorite kind. Nobody wants to see your butt, Midge. This is a liminal space, my favorite kind. We stand between an old year and a new, taking stock of what's behind us, making plans ahead. How can we best use this time to reflect on our relationship with animals? What does an accounting of the soul, a cheshbon hanefesh, look like for a priest and friend to creation? Take a few moments to consider. But take longer to listen to the animals in your life. Now is a great time, in fact, to start a habit of listening for the next year. Set aside a minute or two each day to give your pet or your herd leader your undivided attention. Even longer on Shabbat, which is coming up. They have less time than we do. Their lives are so short. And your presence matters more to them than any toy or treat. We need another more mystical concept of animals. We patronize them for their incompleteness, for their tragic fate of having taken form so far below ourselves, and therein we err, and greatly err. For the animal shall not be measured by man. In a world older and more complete than ours, they move, finished and complete, gifted with extensions of the senses we have lost or never attained, living by voices we shall never hear. They are not brethren. They are not underlings. They are other nations, caught with ourselves in the net of life and time, fellow prisoners of the splendor and the travail ahead. Henry Beston. As you reflect on your relationship with your pets, livestock, or with wildlife over the past year, does anything come to mind for which you need to ask their forgiveness? What have you learned about yourself through your interactions with animals? Consider areas of yourself that could use improvement. What can you do to repair the natural world? Is there a local animal facility to which you could donate or volunteer? Could you foster a pet? Could you give your time to a wildlife rehab? Can you write a letter, sign a petition, or make a call to support wildlife and climate-friendly initiatives? Can you plant a tree Transform your lawn or meadow or trade foreign flowers for native species. Can you collect rainwater or put up a birdhouse? Can you learn enough about an animal in your neighborhood to love it despite its looks? Little Citizen, Little Survivor by Hayden Carruth. A brown rat has taken up residence with me. A little brown rat with pinkish ears and lovely almond-shaped eyes. He and his wife live in the woodpile by my back door, and they are so equal I cannot tell which is which when they poke their noses out of the crevices among the sticks of firewood and then venture farther in search of sunflower seeds spilled from the feeder. I can't tell you, my friend, how glad I am to see them. I haven't seen a fox for years, or a mink, or a fisher cat, or an eagle, or a porcupine. I haven't seen any of my old company of the woods and the fields. We who used to live in such close affection and admiration. Well, I remember when the coons would tap on my window, when the ravens would speak to me from the edge of their little precipice. Where are they now? Everyone knows. Gone. Scattered in this terrible dispersal. But at least the brown rat that most people so revile and fear and castigate has brought his wife to live with me again. Welcome, little citizen, little survivor. Lend me your presence, and I will lend you mine. Please, if they have elected to stay with you this long, turn to your significant animal and whisper a soul-felt thank you. Let's conclude this service with words spoken by Reverend Elizabeth Tarbox at her guinea pig's funeral. Great God, make us friends of the animals. Make us responsible co-inhabitants with them of this fruitful planet. In our dealings with animals, may we be generous. May we exercise our power with compassion and avoid brutality. May we respect their right to a good life in their own habitat. In our dealings with animals, may we remember that all life is mysterious and precious and God-given, and that we are honored and blessed by their presence among us. Toda Rabbah, thank you for joining me with me in this Rosh Hashanah LeBehamot. I invite you also to explore later the Yisker Yoga, a gentle mind-body practice of honoring the animals that have shaped us to this point in our lives. And I wish you Shana Tova for every member of your family.